Welcome to Onourshelf. So today we're going to review the iPhone 5C. So basically all you do is take a iPhone 5, find some green plastic, pour it on the back of it, and there you go. You have the iPhone 5C. So that's been a review of the iPhone 5C. Thanks for watching. No, I'm just kidding. It's a joke. Okay, seriously this time. Just in case you missed my unboxing video earlier, here it is again in about 14 seconds. Basically, you get the iPhone itself, a quick reference guide, some Apple stickers, earbuds with mic controls, USB lightning connector, and the power adapter itself. Okay, so here it is, the 5C itself. So let's talk about some of the dimensions. It weighs in at 4.6 ounces, which is equivalent to 132 grams. It has a width of 2.3 inches and a height of 4.9 inches. And you can get it in a 16 or 32 gigabyte configuration. And the new 5C does come in 5 different colors. You can get it in white, pink, yellow, blue, or green, which is the one that we have now. Okay, so let's talk about the body itself. So right here we have the volume controls. They are separated buttons. Above that we have the mute switch. On the top we have our sleep wake button. On to the right hand side we have our SIM card tray. On the bottom we have our input for our lightning connector with 2 screws on the side. To the right we have our speaker. And right there we have our headphone jack, and next to that is a microphone. On the back of the phone we have our single LED flash, we have our 8 megapixel camera and a microphone right next to that also. And on the front of the device we have our speaker for our ear and a 1.2 megapixel front facing camera. And if you're wondering how this thing compares to the 5S, it's pretty much the same as far as where everything is at. Everything's in the same spot. The 5C does weigh a little bit more though. And it doesn't have the dual flash or the Touch ID home button. Okay, so let's talk about the operating system itself. So there are 2 ways to unlock this phone or open it up. You either slide to unlock or you can enter a password. I'm going to choose a simple one right here. And now with iOS 7, you can now launch Control Center from any screen that you're currently on. And you can also launch the camera from your lock screen now, which is a really neat feature. Let's talk about Control Center a little bit longer. So when you launch it, there's a few features that are on here. You now have a flashlight built into it. You also have airplane mode, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, do not disturb, screen rotation lock, and you can also adjust the brightness now from here. You can also control your music right here. Back to the bottom, we also have airdrop mode. We also have our timer / stopwatch. You can mess with those settings in there, world clock. You have your calculator as well, and you also have your camera. Now the drop down menu in iOS 7 is also a little bit different. It has your notifications categorized by today, all notifications, and missed notifications. Now Spotlight search is also a new feature. You can now swipe down from any menu and you can also type in what you want and bring it up that way. You can no longer swipe all the way to the left to get to it. You can just bring it down from any menu, which is very helpful. Now let's talk about the completely new redesigned iPod application. Cover flow is now gone, so now when you flick through your album artwork, you no longer can see that, cool looking, flowy looking design. That was pretty cool. We all like that. Now when you rotate the screen, it shows you probably about 15 different artwork covers, which is pretty cool. It doesn't look as cool when you're flicking through it, but it's easier to see your music all at once. So I actually like this feature a whole lot better. And that was clearly a glitch right there if you didn't hear it. Also built into the new iPod app is iTunes Radio, which is pretty cool. It's kind of like Pandora, basically. You can listen to a huge genre of music, and it kind of, based off what you pick, what you put in your favorites, your playlist, it gives you recommendations and it continues to play those type of songs. And then you can also purchase those songs right up top. It'll always have a little purchase icon up top. So it's pretty neat. But basically, if you play with Pandora, then this will be pretty familiar to you. Not the layout, but the way it works. Now the Photos app has had a complete redesign as well, and I like it a lot. This is a really great app. It is so much easier now to find lost photos or keep track of the photos you took, because with in today's day and age, with phones having such huge storage and pictures being so big with Instagram, it's easy to lose pictures. But now you can, it actually keeps them categorized for you, so you don't so much have to do that yourself. As you can see right here, you can go back to the year, the month, the location, and it's so much easier to keep track of your photos. And when it gets really small like that, you can just swipe your finger across to see which photo you're on. As far as Safari goes in iOS 7, everything is still pretty familiar. There are a few new features, but the main one is now when you're browsing through your tabs, as far as your web pages go, you can now swipe them to the left to delete them, and it kind of has this cool effect to it. Now, as far as the graphical interface goes for the weather app, it's changed as well, and it also gives you a couple more options. You can now tap where it says 66 degrees, and it shows you the chances of rain, what it feels like, the humidity. So that's pretty cool. Now, the multitask feature has changed as well, and it's pretty cool now. You can now browse through what apps you have open, and you can permanently close them down by either swiping up with one finger or two to get rid of them. It's pretty cool. It looks a lot better. Now, another new feature in iOS 7 is the Parallax Effect. It kind of allows the apps to kind of move around the image in the background. It's pretty cool. It's a little glitchy right now, but it does give it a cool graphical effect. Another updated feature is Siri. It comes in a male and female voice, and it's a little bit more helpful now. Siri, what's going on in the NFL?
Here's the NFL schedule for week 3.
And if you're not sure what you can ask Siri, there's an information button in the bottom left hand corner, and it gives you a list of things that you can ask him or her. Well, some of them. There's more things than that, but that's kind of a standard list. Siri, FaceTime wife.
Making a FaceTime call to wife.
Why would you want to do that?
Folders has also been updated. You can now have multiple pages inside of folders. It's pretty cool. So now you can swipe left to right inside the actual folders page. Now, as far as the camera app goes, the whole interface has changed completely. I like that a lot. You can now swipe to the left or to the right to pick which mode you want. You have Pano, Square, Photo mode, and you also have video mode, which is pretty cool. So it does take panoramic pictures. This one does not have slow motion like the 5S, so keep that in mind. And it also now comes with a bunch of filters like Instagram. Here's some sample pictures that I took earlier in some video. And keep in mind, these pictures and videos were taken in multiple lighting conditions. Boring. Okay, so let's talk about performance. The iPhone 5C has an Apple A6 chip with a dual-core processor at 13 megahertz and 1 gig of RAM. And as far as the display goes, it has a Retina display, 1136 by 640 pixel resolution at 326 ppi, and 800:1 contrast ratio. And for those of you who aren't that tech savvy in this ever-changing world of technical specs, basically what that comes down to, if you're buying this phone for games or to watch videos on or to show pictures, then this is definitely the phone for you. You will definitely not be disappointed. This phone can keep up with the best of them right now. Simply because even though the specifications aren't that new, it's still one of the best phones out there. So my overall opinion of this phone is basically an iPhone 5 with a green plastic shell over it. But that's not a bad thing. In fact, it was the best phone I've ever owned. I now own the 5S, so it's a little bit better. I was, and I still am a little bit weary of the plastic. If you remember the 3G and the 3GS, I also owned the 3G, and that plastic shell had stress cracks, and they came pretty early. They looked something like this, and I'm hoping this phone won't have that problem. As far as iOS 7 goes, it's not bad, and it's definitely worth getting for the new features. I'm still not sure what to think of it, and as of right now, with iOS 7.1, it still has some glitches in it. And sometimes when I'm using it, I feel like Apple just changed it for the sake of change. It doesn't feel that innovative. I feel like Apple just it feels like I downloaded an app that kind of changes the way my graphical interface looks. But that's not to beat up on it. I mean, iOS is really good. I mean, I've owned an iPhone since the original iPhone. Ever since I bought that phone, I haven't switched phones since. And there's a reason why. I mean, it's a very reliable operating system. So I'm not beating up on it. I just felt like they made it seem as if it was going to be a completely redesigned style system, and it's not. But I could talk about the operating system in a whole other video. We'll save that for another day. To get back to the phone itself, it's a very solid, good phone. and it's just a little bit cheaper than the iPhone 5s. And I guess that's the only problem I have with it. I kind of was expecting this phone to be about maybe $200 to $300 cheaper than the iPhone 5s, but it's not. It's only $100 cheaper, which in that case, I would say just go with the 5s unless you're buying this for a kid or your budget's limited. Thanks for watching. Take care.
Tell me a joke.
How many iPhones does it take to... Okay, never mind.
How was